At the end of Volume 7, Episode 3, we got another clear instance of Tyrion's eye color changing from gold to purple as he was attacking Forrest, which we had seen before in Volume 4 when he was attacking Crow and RWBY, which sparked a little bit of a debate as to whether this eye color change was related to Tyrion's semblance, or that his semblance was actually his poison that he was using against people, or even if Tyrion had unlocked his semblance at all. So I figured we'd discuss this in greater detail in this video. Now, we know for a fact that every Faunus exhibits a single physical animalistic trait, and that not all Faunus are born equal when it comes to what these traits actually are. Whether it's an extra pair of ears that enables better hearing, or, in the case of Sun Wukong, an extra tail that can pretty much act like a third arm. It can support his entire weight as well as pick up things that he needs, so yeah, pretty useful ones. Or it could also manifest itself as buck teeth in the form of Saber Rodentia. He's a gerbil Faunus, probably the least terrifying animalistic trait that we have seen, or even the least useful. And that didn't stop him, though. He's still the captain of the Menagerie Guard and could certainly kick my ass. So it doesn't matter what the animalistic trait is, it doesn't hold anyone back, at least as far as we know. Though aquatic Faunus, if they do, manifest it in the form of a mermaid tail or something, that does inhibit their ability to walk, of course. So it could be inhibitory in that case. But the question then arises when it comes to specialized traits that give extra abilities to the person who has them. We know that Faunus are definitely capable of manifesting a semblance, or at least unlocking a semblance. I mean, look at Blake. She has her ears, but she also has her semblance of shadow. Similarly with Sun Wukong, he has a very useful tail, as well as his semblance to create clones of himself. But when it comes to characters that have an inherent genetic trait due to the type of Faunus that they are, then it becomes a bit more of a question, as we haven't seen a single Faunus that has a special ability unlock their semblance, or at least display a semblance in the RWBY series. Look at Ilia. She is a chameleon Faunus. She has her camouflage. And that could easily be a semblance if it was manifested by any other human. They would just use their aura to change how their outward appearance is to other people. But with Ilia, it's just an inherent genetic trait. It changes based on her mood and everything like that, and presumably, if her aura was broken, she could still change color. We've also seen Yuma as well. A bat Faunus, the only Faunus we have seen so far with a pair of wings, enabling him to fly, at least in theory. We haven't seen him actually fly through the sky, but there's been hints that he definitely can. And we haven't seen him show a semblance either, though we only saw him very briefly in one volume. So there's always that, and considering wings would seem fairly related to a tail and the fact that it's just extra limbs that they have, I would assume that Yuma could manifest a semblance. But then it comes to Faunus like Trifa and Tyrian. Trifa is the Faunus we saw in the same volume that we saw Yuma. She has spinnerets in the middle of her hands and can shoot out webs that can be used for various things. For example, restraining people. And Tyrian has his scorpion tail that has poison running throughout it that he can use to poison people. So the question becomes, with Faunus like Ilia, Trifa, and Tyrian, they have very special Faunus traits that allow them to do things that other Faunus and humans definitely can't do. And the question becomes, can they actually unlock their semblance? Do these genetics that they have prevent them from unlocking their semblance? Now, a semblance is the manifestation of one's soul in a physical form, so you'd think that that wouldn't be tied in genetically, but we do know that semblance can have genetic aspects to it. Look at the Schnee family. The semblance of glyphs is definitely genetic. So there is some genetic aspect to it, whether that was being tied into some magical sense in the past of their family or something like that. I made a video on that, you can go check that out there. Or something or other. But if genetics can affect a semblance, then maybe the fact that they are very specialized Faunus has an effect on it. We found out in the World of Remnant video that focused on Faunus that genetics does play a role in faunus inheritance. We know that mammalian faunus are definitely the most common. And we also found out that if a faunus breeds with a human, the child is most likely faunus. And if it is a faunus, it is the same type as the faunus parent. But the child could also be born human. If two faunus who are the same type have a child, that child will be the same type of faunus as the parents. But the tricky thing comes in when two faunus of different types have a child together. If a cat faunus and a dog faunus have a child, it's a genetic lottery. They could have a bat faunus like Yuma. It is completely random as far as we know. I'm guessing some genetics play a role in that, their family history or whatever it may be, but it's random chance. And that's likely how these specialized faunus came about, as they are, from what we've seen, fairly rare. So with that being the case, with them being genetic abnormalities, maybe there is some genetic limiters as to whether they can actually manifest a semblance, whether their soul can actually produce the semblance. Now we know semblance is fueled by aura, and we definitely know that Tyrian has unlocked his aura, as we saw in the battle against Crow and RWBY in Volume 4. So the question then becomes, well, could Ilya's camouflage, Trifa's spiderwebs, and Tyrion's poison be essentially the same as a semblance that it's produced by aura? Could Tyrion be turning his aura into the poison in his tail? Could Trifa be turning her aura into the spiderwebs? And could Ilya be using her aura to manifest her camouflage? No, that is not actually what's happening, because we know in Volume 4, Tyrion's aura was broken when he poisoned Crow, and this is obviously apparent because we saw his aura break as Crow and him fell into the building. Crow's aura broke, that's why he was able to be scratched and poisoned, and Tyrion's aura was broken because RWBY was able to cut off his tail. So yeah, that's not actually the case. His eye color change and his poison is not actually driven by his aura, but that still doesn't mean he can't unlock his semblance. With each of these characters who exhibit these specialized traits, they already have their inherent abilities, and that's what they've come to rely on in battle and how they work throughout their life. Now, because of that being the case, they have not had the need to unlock their semblances. Everyone else that we've seen throughout the RWBY series who has unlocked their semblances did it out of some inherent need of most likely self-preservation. With Ren, it was because the Knuckle-Lavi was coming after him and Nora, so he needed to suppress emotions so that the Knuckle-Lavi wouldn't sense them. With Nora, even, she was struck by lightning, and, you know, when you're struck by lightning, you're probably gonna die, but in Nora's case, she was able to change that into muscle power and survive via that. So even when Jean, he manifested it out of an extreme desire to save Weiss. If he didn't manifest his semblance, Weiss would have bled out, etc. But this also raises the question as to whether semblance is something that, you know, is predetermined by you just being you and your soul being the way it is, or if it's very situational. That, okay, if you're going to be put in this certain situation where you're going to die, your semblance is going to be this. Or if you're put in a different situation, your semblance could be something completely different. Obviously, semblances manifest due to a cry of the soul, but it's just, we need to know more about semblances. But with that being the case, that the specialized faunus that have their special traits, they've been relying on it so much that they have not had the need to unlock their semblances. So it would need to be an interesting case as to how they would unlock their semblances, because they've always been relying on their special traits. And for example, in Volume 4, as Tyrion had his tail cut off, if Team Ranger and Crow hunted Tyrion down after he fled, he might have unlocked his semblance at that point if he was pushed to the point of where he would be killed. Though his aura was broken, I don't know if his semblance would have been able to manifest at that time. We need to know a little bit more about semblances, a little bit more about faunus and their genetic inheritance and everything like that to be able to say for sure. But we do know for sure Tyrion hasn't unlocked his semblance yet, or at least hasn't displayed it in the RWBY series. But this also poses the question: what could Tyrion's semblance be if he were to display it or were to unlock it? Now, my guess would be that it's something to do with poison, as that seems very much his personality. But whatever it would be, I would like to think that it might be something similar to poison aura, that he would be able to change his aura into poison. And something like that could be very overpowered, but it could use up his aura at a very extreme rate, so there is hindrances with it, that he can't use it very much. Something along those lines. I would like to see that happen with Tyrian. Another possibility is that, well, the way he would manifest his semblance would definitely be from an extreme desire to please Salem, or at least to not fail her again. Whatever situation he's put in would probably trigger whatever his semblance would be. Whether it's just a mission starting to fail or something along those lines where he still has his aura not broken, everything like that, and being pushed to the breaking point where he would manifest his semblance. Something along those lines, but we don't really know. We do know that Tyrian does not have a semblance at this point in the RWBY series, that his poison and his tail are just his genetic trait, because Volume 4, his aura was broken when he used it and his eye colors changed. So, yeah. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below, whether all of my ramblings make sense, what you think Tyrion's semblance actually would be, or how you think he would actually unlock his semblance. Do you think Ilya has a semblance? I hope we see Trifa and Yuma again, but do they have semblances, etc.? How do you think the genetics of Faunus work, and how do you think the genetics of semblances work, etc.? Let me know down in the comments below. I really look forward to hearing what you guys think. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure, if you haven't already, that you go vote in the Best Boys poll that is currently going on until midnight on December 8th. I'll leave a link in the description. Vote for your top 3 best boys, and the results will be tallied and put into a video on the following day, Monday, December 9th. So, go there, have some fun, and I'll see you guys in the next video.